If life came with an alarm, it would sound on Tuesday for Kathy Sowles.
It's a lot of water. Too much water.
She spent the day clearing the water from her Villa Creek apartment in Dallas.
It's just too much.
Her world has come crashing, and you'd be mad too.
I could have lost my life laying here in this bed a while ago.
Just after 11, her roof caved in. It flooded the bedroom, everything she has.
This is all I got.
And before any of this, she lost power in the winter storm, and again during our interview.
I lose my power. We lost our power. I'm losing power now. It's gone.
It's been rough, man. Cold.
No heat in single-digit temperatures.
Nothing to eat.
Many of us have been here, but not like this. In a pandemic, in a blizzard, when the world comes crashing.
Lost everything in my house. No, I'm not okay, because I'm telling you, this is going to really hurt me.
This is not a sob story. Feel bad for her story.
I'm just all messed up in my head right now.
This is what real people are dealing with.
I would have never thought this would have happened to me. I just moved down here. Been down here 3 months. Ooh, stuff still falling.
Sadly, the stuff continues to fall.
This her mother. She just passed. Obituary got wet.
Because losing her mom to cancer 3 weeks ago wasn't enough.
Oh, Lord, I'm telling you, this is really hurting me. My house like this.
Kathy will stay with family for now, but it's a very short-term fix. She's waiting on dozens of phone calls back. And right about now, it's the only ring she can stomach.
It was so loud, the vibration.
There was no escaping what happened Monday on Cleveland Drive in Plano.
Violent, very violent.
They all heard it.
It's like airstrike just happened at this house.
They all felt it.
Literally shook this entire neighborhood.
The explosion of a home that coursed through neighborhoods a mile away.
It was like if I were to grab you and just like shake you violently is what it felt like.
So strong.
Like the house is leveled, it's gone.
It sent pieces of house crashing into the house across the street, followed by a storm of dust and debris.
Tragedy. A house completely flattened.
Tragedy caked all over cars and the ground nearby.
Yeah, the car's covered in like all debris.
Literally.
And there ain't a roof there no more.
Figuratively.
When I turn around and look at this house, I'm just blessed.
6 people were hurt, rushed to hospitals. Neighbors here are hopeful.
Oh, those poor people.
Right here.
Anthony Armstrong was lucky to just lose a window.
The glass just shattered and blew inside.
They are as puzzled as they are surprised. Not here, not their neighborhood.
At the scene, we have FBI, we have ATF.
Was this a gas line explosion? Was this lightning from the storm? We can all agree, it's one thing.
It's sad. You should cherish every memory that you have every day you wake up. You never know when very unexpected things can happen.
They were all shaken, and there was nothing they could do about it. Mother Nature is many things. It is vicious, unforgiving.
Hit him on the head. I could feel myself turn pale white.
My father started this in 1951.
Here at North Haven Garden, the nursery in North Dallas, Mother Nature is this. Cameras inside show as the tornado hit.
It's loud.
John is second-generation owner.
A lot of power of nature. It's awesome, the power of nature.
And heard secondhand accounts from Sunday.
I mean, it didn't sound believable because they said that the tornado is like inside the building.
The doors blew open and employees scrambled to find a safe room. Everyone was okay. Mother Nature is also this. She is unfair.
How can this be happening again?
It can't be, not again, no way.
Aaron is next generation in charge.
Proud third generation.
And he has to help pick up the pieces. Again. In 2019, a tornado leveled this nursery.
A lot of these plants that are on the table, they took them up towards the gate.
It was built back up, only for Mother Nature to show up again 2 years later.
Part of me is thinking like, are the storms chasing me?
Thankfully, the second time around was not as bad. Their neighbors to the north also felt her wrath.
You know, sometimes bad things happen and we just got to figure out how to have the best attitude about it and move forward.
That's wisdom that comes from being around 70 years. Mother Nature is many things, but how we respond says a lot about us too.
They're plants, they're tougher than we are, so they take a beating and you can put it back in the pot and it'll grow back in a couple of days. It's good as new. So.
Kind of like you guys.
What?
Kind of like you
Kind of like us, yeah.
In Dallas, I'm Joe Panic. In every emergency, there are first responders and then the first responders.
Every dispatcher hears everything.
This is 911 communications in the city of Wiley. A snowstorm took out power, water pipes, and stranded people. And the calls
nonstop
keep coming.
It usually gets replaced by something else crazy.
And even the weirdest days.
Just because it looks like it's frozen over doesn't mean you should skate on it.
Julia Moshman has been doing this a decade. For her and her colleagues, the last 4 days.
Has it only been 4 days?
Feels like forever. Normally it's 200 calls a day. Now,
possibly a busted pipe.
It's 1,200.
Water emergencies, water in houses, flooding businesses because of damaged fire sprinkler systems.
Yes, I love it so much I sleep here.
She's not kidding.
For the last week, it's been my office and my sleeping quarters.
Every day since Saturday, her commute has taken seconds, which is normal.
It's totally normal. Totally normal.
She does laundry in the jail, showers in the police department, even brought the curtain for privacy.
Wiley 911, what's the city and address of your emergency?
This is an all-hands-on-deck situation. Wiley has every department represented in the emergency operations room. Lately, it's been calls for busted pipes and water leaks.
14, 15, I think this may be 15.
The crews have to keep moving.
Today, yeah. Day's halfway over, so.
And dispatchers like Julia have to keep taking the calls. While she answers others' emergencies, her own home has no power, no water.
You don't leave your people. You help your people.
Julia is just one story. This can be repeated over and over of first responders pulling doubles, triples, not taking days off in a snowstorm that's even affected them. Remember that when you ask for help. If North Texas had a soundtrack for this week, this would be a sample. We all heard it differently.
This is a lot of wind. Strong, strong wind.
First the storm Sunday, then the snow.
So it's very cold. You know, we don't get this very often in Texas.
This I like the sound.
I like crunchy things.
But silence is the absence of sound, and too many heard that.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't hear power for like maybe 3 days.
It grounds you when you don't have it, and it makes you appreciate it more when you do.
For so many, no power, no water.
A lot of something melted.
And then, too much water. Frozen pipes bursting. Wednesday, Thursday.
If it is a pipe, that's not a beautiful sound at all.
Apartment is flooded, their stuff is ruined.
By the end of the week, relief.
That's the sound of hope, honestly.
It sounds like power.
By Friday.
To me, it's like, it's a soothing sound.
Hearing it melt, it's kind of like, okay, it's like a sigh of relief.
North Texas thaws. The sounds we can recognize.
I'm ready to hear the sounds of cars and things moving again.
In North Texas, I'm Jobin Paniker.
Every day, we pass through places with weird names without even noticing. But did you ever wonder where those names came from? Their origins reveal an interesting piece of Texas history. And 30 miles east of Tyler is the cluckiest place on earth, Chicken Feather.
What do you get when you cross a preacher, young boys, and chickens? A town with a really weird name. At least, this is where the town used to be.
Just nothing out there but fields now. And
fields, trees, and a cemetery.
And the cemetery.
John Doolin wrote the book on Chicken Feather.
Well, actually, just the article.
And in that article, John says this community was originally called New Hope until a sinister crime was committed in the dark of night.
Come on, boys, follow me.
Around 19 and 10, young men in the neighborhood were out coon hunting.
What's that sound? I can hardly hear you over this lawnmower. I think what's happening is they're trying to stop us from getting the truth out there about chicken feather.
That might be.
Is this guy with the Illuminati? You can't silence us. Chicken feather came. From what you've heard, they went out coon or possum hunting?
Correct.
After hunting for hours, those boys came up empty.
Shoot, I missed again. What am I gonna eat?
Starving. They did something devious.
There's dinner.
They stole some farmer's chicken.
Not just any farmer. This farmer was also the preacher.
Yes, if it was a pastor, then they committed a sin.
To hide the evidence, they tossed the chicken feathers and the guts into the well. The same well where the school children and families got their water.
That date, it's always been referred to as chicken feather.
But in the 80s, every church, house, and building in Chicken Feather was sold to the mining company and demolished, and any evidence of the boys' crimes was buried with it.
Whatever happened to these boys?
As I understand, nothing.
We're sorry. You can't just leave us here. We're sorry, Father. You should know. Justice comes like a thief in the night. We'll be stuck here forever. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Deep down, we survive by connection.
A heartbeat.
It's simple.
A heartbeat.
And these two mothers, Natalia and Amy, know it.
We have the huggers and the huggies.
They are called allies. They stood outside the Dallas Pride event with no expectations, but shirts and a sign and open arms. But first, the question.
Can we give you a hug?
Hugs. Come on in. That gives me permission to enter their personal space.
Happy Pride.
When that space is often scary and dark, and if they needed any reminder.
This is love and that is hate.
Maybe he really needs a hug.
God loves you just the way you are, darling. Come here. The hug is really an embrace.
I'm a mom too.
Free Mom Hugs has gone national, but this
Come on in.
is still deeply personal.
If their families don't accept them for who they are, they haven't gotten a lot of hugs.
We love you just the way you are.
This makeup is gonna be gone.
In that moment, they are also embracing their hardships.
It was pretty good. I'm gonna cry. Don't cry.
Shyla tells us when she came out, she didn't get a hug.
No, my mom told me to read the Bible when I first came out. It's really hard when your parents don't support you. Everybody say pride.
They have to make their own families.
Have fun, you guys.
Their biological families sometimes just turn their backs to them.
You're awesome, proud dad. Thank you.
Yes.
The pandemic canceled Pride events, canceled hugs.
Free mom hugs.
These are overdue.
Free mom hugs.
Isolation is how many feel here.
It's tough out there.
Hugs come with a smile, but most importantly, an understanding.
I could be hugging their inner child, and as a mom, that's a big deal.
And for just a moment, there is something freeing about it.
That exchange of energy, that exchange of love between two people.
And two mothers who know connection starts with a real heart-to-heart.
Everybody should know that feeling of love.
In Dallas, I'm Joden Paniker.
All right, here we go.
Think of mariachi less as a genre of music.
3 and 4.
And more as a collection of old stories.
It's your time to shine, violins.
Its roots are in Mexico. And today it's flourishing hundreds of miles from the border in the homes of students in North Texas.
Good luck, guys. Have a good show.
North High School Mariachi Escuelas de Plata. You may begin your performance for the 2021 UIL State Mariachi Festival.
And 1, 2, 1.
The story of Northside High School in Fort Worth
Big
started when director Ramon Nino wanted to change an old narrative.
But it was never really
our goal to win. It was more to just go out there and make a mark for North Texas Mariachi because it was so heavy populated by South Texas Mariachi group.
The team just started competing in 2014, and 3 years later beat a Grammy-nominated group for a national title. And every year they've entered the State Mariachi Festival, they've received the highest score possible. The secret of their success starts not in the classroom, but at home.
We get the pride of, this is the music my parents and my grandparents grew up with and listened to, and this is what they were singing when they were working in the field.
Senior Diana Aguado and her sophomore brother Nestor lived just a few blocks from the school, and in their home, practice is a family pastime.
We just love singing. That's what we do for fun.
It's this feeling that I can't even explain. It brings you like so much happiness.
When they immigrated from Mexico, Diana was 10, Nestor was 8, and the family tradition came with them.
I feel like sometimes we just need a reminder of who we are.
Next year, Diana will become the first in her family to attend college, but she almost didn't finish high school.
It was difficult, yeah, because my father had always been there for us, and then we had to be there for him.
Her freshman year, her father was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and the family returned to Mexico.
Medicine here and the treatment, everything is very expensive. We're gonna move and we are going to do this together as a family, and that's what we did.
When his condition improved, the family moved back to their home in Fort Worth, but Nestor and Diana had missed a year of school. Taking summer classes and doubling up in the fall, she caught up, and now she's not just attending any college.
And I checked my status. I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. Said, you're admitted to Johns Hopkins University, class of 2025.
She'll be headed there on a full ride. And the other 3 seniors in mariachi are headed to Stanford, Notre Dame, and TCU, and all have full scholarships. The harmony between excelling both in class and on stage is a habit they inherited.
We grew up with hardworking people, we're gonna be hardworking people because we grew up with that mentality.
There's no secret sauce. I think it's just the recipe for success, right? Is just keep trying till you get it right.
That recipe is working.
When you put in the work and the effort, the dedication, if you really want to achieve something, you can.
This year, the team's state festival streak continued. But they did more than get a top score.
Ms. Martinez, where are you? Every single one of you got outstanding performance medal.
To top it all off, and tomorrow they graduate and they go out to the real world, you know? And so this is an amazing last memory.
Yeah, this is my last year. It means a lot to me.
There is no mariachi program at Johns Hopkins. Diana picked it for one reason.
Like, I have the opportunity to do something for others, and so I'm gonna take it.
She wants to study oncology and become a doctor treating cancer patients.
I want to help other people like my dad, and I want to do that for the rest of my life.
A home isn't walls or borders, it's where our roots grow. Mariachi thrives here because it's how to keep home with you, no matter how far you go.
A year ago in March, Fort Worth police told a judge this was a drug house.
I've been here a little over 20 years.
They got a search warrant requesting a no-knock raid. The warrant reads that officers would likely find narcotics, namely methamphetamines, and a no-knock warrant gave cops permission for forced entry with no warning.
We stood up, the police were already coming through our front door.
After the door was kicked in and a search completed, take a look at this empty box. Court documents read police didn't find drugs, guns, money, or anything else suspicious.
It was horrible.
Just Nelda Price in her nightgown and her husband John, both 69 years old. Not drug kingpins, not armed criminals, just two taxpayers terrified to make any sudden movements.
And I'm thinking, just be still, Daddy. Don't.
Nelda sued the city for excessive force, negligence, the violation of her rights, but mostly because John died weeks following the raid.
They take it away. I'm sorry.
According to the lawsuit, Price and her husband were put in flex cuffs, which look like zip ties, and were ordered to stay put on their front lawn. The suit reads that Fort Worth police officers guarded the Prices as other Fort Worth officers proceeded to ransack the residence.
They never said one reason as to why they were here.
Several hours passed, the lawsuit reads, and as time wore on, John Richard Price began feeling ill. At his age, he had issues with his blood pressure.
And I asked him, could they give Doug his medicine, because I could tell that his blood pressure was going up.
But despite numerous desperate pleas from Mrs. Price, Fort Worth police ignored their requests and continued their unlawful search, according to the lawsuit. Price says she didn't resist or act up, and her reasoning for that is something many Black Americans can likely relate to.
He didn't get rude. We didn't, get out of line or anything with police, because being Black, you don't get tough, I guess that's what you say.
An ambulance was eventually called and John was treated, but 53 days later, he died. Price told WFAA she feels the stress of the no-knock search contributed to John's death. The approved warrant reads that knocking would be futile, dangerous, or otherwise inhibit the investigation.
It's just totally unreal. It basically just seemed like it destroyed my life.
So why did this happen? What evidence did police have that made them think Nelda and her husband were engaged in crime? Price's attorney to this day doesn't know why, saying Fort Worth PD won't release that information to her. We also asked the same questions through a records request. No luck.
Police get training, and there are standards of conduct. Clearly, that wasn't met in this case.
Attorney Kay Van Way is representing Price on this case. She told us the only thing the city of Fort Worth has revealed is that officers had bad intel.
They obviously got it all wrong.
And that stands out to her. To get the green light for a no-knock raid, the department has to prove to a judge that the lives of officers will be in danger if surprise isn't on their side. Van Way wants to know what intel pointed to Nelda and her husband being so dangerous.
Unfortunately, John's not here. But look at Nelda versus 15, 20, 30 SWAT officers. Who was more in danger between the two of them?
Fort Worth PD is no stranger to headlines surrounding cases of excessive force, especially incidents involving Black Americans.
Put your hands up! Show me your hands!
Like a Tatiana Jefferson, who was shot in her own home during a welfare check. A death that sent shockwaves throughout the community and America alike. Van Way did offer this appraisal, however.
I believe that this would not have happened in a predominantly white, middle-class neighborhood in Fort Worth.
I, Neil Noakes.
I, Neil Noakes.
The department does have a new police chief, Neil Noakes, who told WFAA he believes in transparency.
One of the best predictors of the success of a relationship is trust. And the relationship we want to have with the community is one built on trust. To be able to have that, we have to be transparent.
Days after he was sworn in, Noakes declined to answer questions about Price, however.
I'm not able to comment on that because of the ongoing lawsuit right now. I apologize. When we can say more, we will.
But just because Nelda is suing doesn't mean Fort Worth Police is barred from talking about what happened or what went wrong. They could even show us the body camera footage taken during the search.
For us, no-knock warrants, you won't see very often. You have to fit very very strict criteria to qualify for a no-knock warrant.
But the chief did not provide any specific details to support his assessment, and we still don't know why his officers were so adamant about a no-knock search of the Price home. We also asked the same question in multiple records requests. We even asked for the body camera footage. No reply. And you won't believe this. A judge recently denied Nelda the ability to interview city officials or gather evidence to support her suit. She may now turn to a federal civil court to plead her case.
It would look like a war zone.
Mike and Jack. WFAA has reported that Texas officers and cities have broad immunity or protections when it comes to repaying residents for any damage they may cause in a no-knock raid. Van Way isn't expecting a check for what little damage was done here. At the very least, she just wants the city to apologize to Price and correct whatever went wrong. But this haunts the 69-year-old the most.
If the police had just knocked on your door and asked to come in, would your life be different? Would John still be here?
I think so. If they had just knocked on the door and said, we need to do whatever it was they need to do, we wouldn't have had a problem.
You would have voluntarily let them in?
Yeah.
A simple knock, and perhaps a 51-year marriage continues. In Fort Worth, I'm Matt Howerton.